Bring her in.
You already know.
You know the stuff.
I was not.
Good afternoon, it's Tuesday, February 20th.
You want to trade, so we mix it up a little bit?
We're gonna introduce the committee, and it's a Tuesday, so we're gonna start right here.
Good afternoon, Wendy Harrison, Wyndham District. Irene Brenner, Chicken North, including Fairfax.
Brian Collmore, Rutland District.
Bengalina Committee Assistant.
West Single Essex District, and welcome to everybody. We're gonna spend some time today talking about the White River Junction Courthouse. We have a full room of people who have some things they'd like to say about that. Who wants to lead it off?
BGS will, and I'm nominating Carolyn Lafley. Step up, her first time presenting, so go easy on her.
Oh, you didn't warn her about us?
Oh,
You didn't warn us about us? Oh,
I
these
got
are
in this
growing.
morning and now I just.
Well, we did
Joe's right.
unplug the electric cord to that chair. Yeah, we did. So,
Objection seat.
yeah.
Perfect.
Careful what you say.
Thank
Welcome, thank you.
Thank
Just for the
you.
record, just tell us who you are.
I'm Sherilyn Lafley. I'm a project manager for the state of Vermont with the Buildings and General Services.
Well, welcome today.
Thank you. So I don't know, there's a little slideshow.
Here it comes.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. So this is the Windsor Courthouse. Just an introductory slide. Next slide, please. It jumped a little, huh? Oh, go back up one.
I'm not even, okay.
There you go.
This one.
Yep,
Yep, so this is just a little project status, you guys may have seen this one already. This just kind of gives a little overview of the project. We are upgrading the entire mechanical system, the electrical and plumbing, and adding some new direct digital controls. We're installing a new fire alarm, we're doing some building envelope upgrades, security enhancements, interior renovations, and interior renovations to better judiciary's programs, site improvements, and we are working on the riverbank in the back stabilization, because it's not doing so well, so.
Sean, is that a standing seam roof?
It is, yeah,
Okay. Is that sort of a standard roof nowadays?
I don't know. I think it's intermittent.
It's mixed. I mean, if you got forward standing seam, it is good to have.
So it is more expensive.
It is more expensive just because of the cost of the metal. Your shingle roof, you can still get a 30-year warranty with some shingle roofs. Those are the architectural style that, sort of mimic slate, but not. Because that just has more of the fiberglass asphalt on there for thicker shingle.
Thank you.
Joe's available anytime to answer questions about building construction.
He has a lot of knowledge. The next slide, please. So due to the renovation, we have to unfortunately kick out judiciary for the duration of the project, and we have found some swing space right across the street from the courthouse at 55 Railroad Road. We can utilize our existing parking there, so parking's not an issue. Next slide.
And what can you just, is that a river that's there?
Yeah, right in the back corners of the, yeah,
Connecticut or? what?
I think it is, I don't know.
Isn't that in White River Junction?
Yes, it might be the Connecticut River.
So it's not in a floodplain, obviously, right?
And actually, even though there's a sizable bank, the outer edge of the circle that is closer to the water is actually in the floodplain.
The outer
building
edge
is
of the
outside the
building,
floodplain,
not
but
the
it's-
building.
It's right there.
Cool. All right, well. Yikes.
The good news
Good
is
to
we don't
know.
have a basement.
Vermonters like our rivers and streams. Oh, I know.
There's no basement level to this, so it's
That's good.
it's on the ground, at least on a slab. So next slide, please. This is the floor plan of the swing space. So the bottom here is Railroad Road, and then there's Joe Reed Drive right up the side. We would house the entire first floor. There's 13 private offices and there's 3 conference rooms. So we would have that entire floor.
With this.
and so who else is gonna go in there besides, so when you say judiciary, who would utilize this space?
Turn that question to judiciary.
Okay,
Greg Mosley, Chief of Finance and Administration for Vermont Judiciary. So we would move our judicial bureau into that space along with our probate division and probably the part of our family division, magistrate would probably operate out of that office.
So you repurpose what are now conference rooms into courtrooms?
So this space would actually be for administrative staff.
okay.
We are still working on allowing the public into, to a clerk's counter, but there'd be no in-person hearing room at this space.
Okay.
So we'd be utilizing the Woodstock courthouse for all of our in-person stuff. And there's a possibility that there's a room in the county building where the sheriff is located in Woodstock. There's a possibility we might need to use that for some hearings as well.
So all of the, oh, sorry, go ahead, Terry.
I'm sorry,
Oh, you'll be sorry.
Terry Corson, State Court Administrative. We would be conducting remote hearings in the swing space for both potentially probate, magistrate, judicial bureau possibly. So there would be remote hearings in the swing space,
Okay.
and no in-person hearings.
So all the people that are gonna be occupying this space would be displaced from the the courthouse project. So you are all, everybody that's gonna be in there, or they were in the courthouse.
Yeah, we'll be operating either from the Woodstock courthouse or this swing space.
Okay.
And there is some moving chairs. Some of the staff from the criminal building will go up to Woodstock. Some of the staff from Woodstock will go into the swing space. We have to move things around to make it fit.
Next slide, please. And then this next slide is just some pictures to show what the interior space looks like.
For the swing space.
Yeah.
And this works. This is just not convenient, but this building works for what everybody wants to do.
Out of the buildings that we toured, this was by far the preferred choice. The limitation is there's no in-person hearing room that's usable,
Yeah.
but we think we can push that up to the Woodstock courthouse.
Next slide, please. This is the proposed addition to the courthouse for the state's attorneys and sheriffs. They have put in a capital bill request for $6.5 million to be located within the courthouse. As in other courthouses, there are state's attorneys that are located in other courthouses in Vermont, but they are completely separate from the courthouse. So this addition is basically a whole new addition with their own space and break rooms and stuff like that.
And this is on top of this, yes,
Mr. Chairman, just to give a little frame of context as we tell the story. So when I first came into BGS in 2017, it's my understanding that a renovation for the current Windsor courthouse was already in motion because we already had issues with the envelope and other things. And then for some reason, we put pencils down. Maybe Joe knows why. Maybe it was funding. I'm not sure, or priorities, but pencils went down. And then this project went on hold for several years. Meanwhile, the building is still deteriorating, right?
right.
And we talk about buildings that continue to deteriorate over time and they get more costly, because then there's more things that we need to then go in and address. In the meantime, state's attorney, which I'm guessing you're from, but I don't know, sir, so you're a new face to me, maybe not, okay? In the meantime, state's attorney has been in lease space in White River, and apparently they found out that something may be happening to their lease space. So my understanding was they have legislative days at the courthouses, and that the state's attorney went to the legislative day, and there were representatives like Miss Emmons from the House there, and this topic came up, and then they said, well, have you thought about putting in a capital bill request if you're getting kicked out of your lease space to then do an addition onto the White River courthouse? And so they followed up, they being state's attorney, and we got a capital bill request in the middle of December. Now, keep in mind that all capital bill requests were due October?
Yeah.
In October, so this was really, really late in the game. And the secondary piece is, at BGS, we had no idea it was even coming, because we didn't even know if the state's attorney had any concerns about their current lease space, or that they might get kicked out of their current lease space. So I just wanted to give that framing and context, because the rest of the story or the timeline plays off of that. Go ahead, Sherilyn.
Well, can I?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So you had, so from what I understand, the original project being the project that it's about $6 million as well.
That's correct, Mr.
The
Chair.
project that you guys are describing in the first few slides. That's been put off for quite some time, hasn't it? That project in itself, hasn't that?
Yes,
got kicked
yes,
down the
it
road
has.
a little
It
bit?
was a priority issue a few years ago that we kick the can on this one because there are other issues that were coming up for other buildings. And so we did kick the can, but this past biennium, we went through and continued with the design on this to get it under construction this spring.
And the only other thing is, I want to mention there's urgency to do the project for a variety of reasons, right? Deferred maintenance is one, but the other one is ventilation. So the courts would really like this building to meet what ventilation standards that they would prefer in their courthouses. And so basically, the ventilation is kind of limping along. It needs to be replaced, it's end of life, but also courts is asking for some modifications so that it better meets the programmatic needs of courts. So I just also want to mention that as well. So this was one of the courthouses that took us a little while, right? To reopen
Yes.
during the pandemic for that reason.
So if we were to go ahead with this project, I mean, you're just not gonna start this project along with the original project. I mean, you've got some more delays coming.
It
You
would
could have
cause-
another couple years,
You are
wouldn't you?
correct, Mr. Chairman. It would cause delays to the current project, and Joe and Sherilyn could probably speak better to that. No.
Next slide, please.
She's got it, she got it.
So yeah,
I think that's the most politely way I've ever shut my mouth.
so you are correct. It would delay the project probably about 24 months roughly by the time we would get a design for this addition and get the construction situated. So right now we have, we're currently getting a construction manager on board to do the HVAC upgrades. So we are hopeful to have a contractor on contract here in the next month or so. And they're hoping to start construction early spring. And they have a 12 to 18 month construction schedule. So it would delay the project a couple of years, basically.
So the space that the judiciary is gonna move into across the road and then this project here, would the state's attorney, would that building be available later on for state's attorneys?
Look at you go.
See, we're one big happy family over here, let me just tell you.
Sherilyn.
Sherilyn?
She's got this
Next
part done.
slide, please.
I just gotta look at the slides.
He knows this as well as I do.
Yeah.
So now this is the state's attorney's current space.
Yeah, she does.
Eric knows more about this space, I guess, than I do. Or Annie, I don't know if Annie Noonan is on the call or not.
She is.
Maybe she can speak to a little more about their existing space and their needs.
And that's
Or Miss
downtown
Noonan, are you
White
there?
River, right? That's downtown White.
It is, this is right on the corner of North and South.
I'll show you kind of.
Yes.
Right, and it's not very far from the other.
No, it's a little bit further than the other one.
They have a slide.
We have a slide.
We do.
back
We
here.
do. We do.
Annie, are you?
I am here. Hi, good afternoon, senators. Nice to see you all. I don't, for the record, Annie Noonan, I know some of you in there and some of you are new to me. I've been with the Department of State's attorneys for 7 years. I've been in and around state government for 44. So might have seen my name but not seen my face, but it is nice to see all of you today. And I'm sorry.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm not sure I understood the question that was posed. This is our space currently. It is lease space that our lease expires on August 31st of 2025. So the information you have essentially in front of you is relatively correct, where we'll be up to $61,000 and change during the last year of this lease, which starts on September 1st. It's been a building that has not, has been functional, but has had problems. And so I know our state's attorney, Ward Goodenough, was excited with the thought that there was potentially new buildings, a new building available in the White River area. But as Commissioner Fitch has said, there is space that is going to be the swing space for the court, which is at this 55, the address I can't recall, but it is as Commissioner Fitch said. Our concern really is just to make sure that we have a place to go if and when this lease expires. If for any reason the renovations are delayed, as renovations often are, that we are able to be housed. We have about 13 employees. Most of our employees are in our offices pretty much daily. I think mostly y'all know that when court is operating, it's a pretty hectic schedule. So people are, and there's less being done by remote these days, which is unfortunate, but there is less being done remotely. And so we are regularly in our offices, and so that is really the issue. We need space close to the court, if not in the court building. We need space that will be available to us if and when this lease expires, and the swing space would be great. We would love to have it all line up well. Eric Pembroke mentioned that, you know, he's pretty confident that things will have a place to go if in fact the renovations run over. That's a big part of our concern. If the renovations run over, where do we go? Or we can't set up shop on the sidewalks, so we need a place to be.
And
Yep.
we gave our word to Annie that, and which is what we do. It's our mission to support the programmatic needs of the people we serve, and state's attorney is certainly one of them. And I gave her a guarantee, and I will continue to give her a guarantee that we will take care of her space in White River, even if there's a change to the schedule that impacts the current space that you're in, Annie.
Annie, who owns that building?
David Briggs.
Yeah.
It's listed as Gates and Briggs Company, so there might be Mr. Gates but I don't know who that is. But I know that we deal with David Briggs.
Is there flexibility any in that if it had to go over? It sounds like you guys have it all solved out. I don't know why we even have to ask that question. It sounds like no matter what happens, and if I'm mischaracterizing anybody's mood about this, it sounds like that this is something that looks like it's a good path forward for everybody. And of course, Andy, you have some concerns. You want to make sure that you're not unhoused. The commissioner has said that you're not going to be unhoused, no matter what the timeline is. It sounds like even the swing space that the judiciary is moving into would even serve you folks better because of the proximity of the courthouse. It sounds really good. Is everybody feeling that way?
I think that is true from our perspective, Mr. Chair, that if we can get in there on time, you know, at the point that this lease with Gates Briggs is expiring, I think we'll be all set. Of course, you know, I know S.A. Goodenough was very interested in the court building, but I think before he left, he's actually returning tonight. But before he went away, he said, if this other option works, we're okay with that too. So I think that we are, you know, I think it's fair to say that if everything lines up, we'll be okay with going into the new building, provided that space, you know, is, you know, I think I haven't seen it. I know Ward and some of the staff went over and looked at it. They liked it. I think it'll be good enough for us. We probably have to have some security work done there. But I think that's all something we can be working on with BGS.
That is true. Like, just to respond to Annie's comment there. So we do have safety infrastructure, like your badge readers and different things like that. And we put, regardless of whether it's state-owned or lease space, we still use the same package, security package regardless.
Senator Harrison.
And this all looks good. If you have one slide that shows the location of all of them, that would be cool.
There's a slide for
There's a slide for
them.
Does this make you want to purchase the building, the 55 Railroad or whatever?
It's not currently for sale. It's just the first floor they're leasing out. So right now, RSG is the company that's in the building. They have the first 2 floors and then there's a 3rd floor tenant. RSG, due to the pandemic and due to the work from home situation, has decided they don't need both floors. They just are only gonna occupy one. So that's how the first one.
They're happy where they.
Yeah.
And who is RSG?
They are it's a company, but I wanna say it's like an earth company,
Yeah, I don't
or they
know what
do,
RSG
they
does.
work with sound, and I'm not really sure what they do, but.
So, and to be fair, Mr. Chairman, to everybody, all of this had been moving really, really quickly. So we didn't even find this swing space, I think, until a couple of weeks ago.
Correct.
And then state's attorney and judicial didn't even see it until last week. So this is like breaking news, moving very quickly.
Full slide, please.
Go to the next slide and it shows you.
It's the map.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. even closer.
Yeah.
It's great. On the right side of the tracks.
That's right.
And then the last slide just has
The money slide.
the money slide just shows what they're paying now roughly, what 55 Railroad Road would cost for the state's attorney. And then the other one is a fee for space cost if we decided to proceed with the addition onto the White River District Court. Down there, and then the bottom is just the difference between 55 Railroad Road, the lease cost and the fee for space cost.
I did not need to come, Cheryl, you have this down.
You could have had it.
You have,
This is all
you
you.
did an amazing job.
We could pass, safer that way.
But you just had a little more time to prepare it.
What are the differences in square footage? I know the other one was 3,100.
Yeah, so
What's
the
the new one?
5,200.
Oh, get a little bit more.
There's a little more space. It's pretty open. There's a really big, large conference room that's all glass. What else? There's 3 conference rooms. There's a large, medium, and
It's most-
small one. It's
mostly
mostly
offices.
private offices.
A little bit more money, but it's what it is.
And also right across the street.
Yeah.
And it looks like more, higher level of quality.
Well,
Yes.
Yes.
I think there are 6.8 million reasons why I like it.
Yeah.
So, to be honest with you, so,
Yeah, looks good.
committee, anything, yes?
RSG is the resource systems group. We do analytics.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Google.
For what it
I
means.
love Google.
We're gonna have to start, have you testify.
You're in the spotlight in that, right?
Anybody else that has anything that they want to add to this?
No, we're very appreciative of BGS for locating the space. It really does meet, it seems like as many needs as we can imagine under the circumstances. So we're happy to make it work.
Well, perfect. It sounds like, again, that something's worked out really, really well, and, well, why rock the boat, man? So, all good? Everybody good? Yep.
We are great.
Okay, well, I want to thank you
We
guys.
should have
for-
Sherilyn how she's feeling.
Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
you feeling?
Next slide.
Next slide, next slide.
There's another slide.
Yeah.
The next slide says see ya.
Yeah.
Annie, thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you,
Appreciate it
senators.
much. And, yeah, we'll call that a wrap.